Hello, good evening, everybody. Today, as you can see, I am alone because Ellen is busy today, but I have a special guest for the whole community tonight. And so we are going to talk together with CryptoCoffee about HEX tonight. So welcome, CryptoCoffee. How are you doing?
Hey everybody, glad to be here on Kryptosparbuch. It's great to finally meet you and
Tonight.
have a stream
So
together.
perfect. Yes, how was your day? Everything fine? I
Yeah,
see
no,
you have a beautiful hex sun in your background.
that's right. Yep, it's a new era, a new sunrise for Hex. So we love it. Oh, and now I'm blurry.
Yeah, autofocus. Now he's out of focus.
There we go.
So here we go again. Perfect. Yeah, actually, the first thing every interviewer gets asked from us is how did you find out about crypto, and especially what was your way finding out about Hex?
Yeah, well, it all started for me in 2015. I was working at my first job after college, um, looking into ways of making money. All the conventional ways like stock trading and bonds, mutual funds, index funds, real estate, all the traditional stuff. But I remember working there and just thinking, I don't want to do this forever. I don't want to do the 9 to 5 job. I don't think I can. I don't think I'm cut out for this. And so I got into crypto because I just stumbled across Bitcoin, and then I remember stumbling across Poloniex exchange, which was
Ah, I
at the
remember
time,
that exchange. Yeah.
yeah, yep. And so I remember, coins going up 30% in one day, 50% in 1 hour. And I was just like, whoa, if I could figure out what's going on here and somehow get a little piece of this, I could be rich.
Hmm.
So I started trading and I bought a whole bunch of not a whole bunch. I bought a handful of Bitcoin at maybe $500,
Hmm.
$600. And I lost a lot of it, most of it, because I tried trading and I tried timing the market. I tried to get in on the pump and dumps, but really I was never the smartest guy in the room. Somebody there was always smarter than me, always had more information, and I got wrecked basically. Right. So trading didn't do so well, but because Bitcoin did so well, I ended up somehow, despite fucking up over and over, I was still positive on my money because Bitcoin went from $500 to $20,000. So
I know what you mean. You just took like 50% of your initial bitcoins and you lost that, but the other half went up so much that
yeah,
you're still net positive. Yeah.
exactly. And so the market allowed me to be so stupid and yet somehow still come out in profit. So I'm very thankful for that, right? And then I ended up with a very, in 2017, I still hadn't learned my lesson. I was listening to people that were Bitcoin maximalists, but I was also listening to other people that were just full of crap. And I'm not going to name names or anything, but people, because really anybody in those days in 2016 and 2017 could name a coin and the coin would go up 10x and then they
Yeah.
would seem like a genius. And really, they didn't know any more than anybody else.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember like streams, altcoin of the day and all that
yeah,
bullshit.
and now it's happening again too. It's happening
Yeah,
again.
yeah. In it happened in summer with the DeFi hype, and right now it's beginning to start again. Yeah, and I'm quite sure that this year we will see some movement into some altcoins.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited this time because I know what I'm doing now. So I think you have to really be in crypto for a full cycle in order to
Yeah.
understand what's going on. And so I got wrecked in 2017, just like everybody else. But luckily, I still ended up with a tiny little nest egg of Bitcoin. And I became a Bitcoin maximalist from maybe 2017 to 2018 because I
Mhm.
realized looking back, if I had just held Bitcoin and stopped trying to be greedy, I would have had millions of dollars. You know, and I remember having to really think critically about the people I was listening to. So I stopped listening to a lot of the shillers and the people that claimed they could predict the future, and I started really using my head and thinking about, um, who's speaking the truth. And Richard Hart was really the only person that whittled down to, after all, out of all the people. he was the only person that made sense. And after taking an honest look at my own actions and an honest look at the market. So he was, very, very pro Bitcoin and very pro anything that works to achieve the goal of crypto mass adoption. And so I kind of followed his thought process as he shifted his mind and started to adopt Ethereum and starting to admit that, hey, maybe Ethereum is useful. And now it just seems to make so much sense. I mean, yeah, it's programmable money. Bitcoin is digital gold, but it can't be programmed and built on top of.
Yeah.
And so Ethereum is another great part of the ecosystem that I think a lot of people, myself included, a couple of years ago, we missed out on. Like, I missed out on the Ethereum ICO because I said, oh, Ethereum is never going to be a currency. Like, well, why would I buy it if it's not going to be a currency? It turns out that's not the point. Ethereum is a developer ecosystem and a programmable smart contract layer. So it's got a totally different use case, right? Or set of use cases, but it can be used, it can live together with Bitcoin. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, right? You can have both.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, one of my favorite quotes from Richard Hart is, if you are given programmable money, the first thing you should program is trustless interest.
Exactly.
Or like is interest, he said, yeah. The trustless came after he finished HEX.
That's a great quote. I don't think a lot of people say that enough. That's one of the, I mean, it seems so obvious when he says it, right? It's like, duh.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and so it is kind of strange that he was the first person to actually do it. Well, do it in the right way, right? Because people
do it in the right way, exactly. Yeah, because that's why what I meant with, now we also have the trustless in this quote, because there are some cryptos who are claiming to give you interest, but it's always a fixed amount, or always a middleman involved in between, or you don't have the private keys in your own, how do you call it, possession? Possession. Yeah.
Possession.
Yeah.
Yeah, if not your keys, not your coins. And chances are in crypto, if somebody is promising you a guaranteed rate of interest, that they take your keys away from you and they go do something over here and they magically give you a percentage every month, and it's a middleman doing that, it's probably a Ponzi scheme or just something that's not going to end well. So the trustless interest part of it, which is what I think a lot of people might not understand if they're new to HEX, is really it's just the code generating you the interest via inflation. You're not giving your coins to a central party to get interest on your coins. So this is something that centralized companies like BlockFi and Celsius, and they've been doing this for a few years now, and it works and it's great up until it doesn't, up until there's a hack or and somebody...
Also a great quote, yeah. It's like saying BitConnect worked until it doesn't.
Right, exactly. It's these new honeypots that they take your KYC and they take your data, and not all of them have bad intentions, right? A lot of them have very good intentions, but we see over and over again, if you've been in crypto, that middlemen, they get hacked, they lose your money. A lot of exchanges go down. It seems like every month or every other month.
Some founders got arrested.
Founders get arrested. They flee to India, change their name, fake their death. And that's what happened with the Quadriga CX guy.
Yeah. Remember
so
that.
it's a crazy Wild West world. And the only things that really win and have lasting value are things that are trustless, immutable, and locked in code. And again, I always talk about trust as a spectrum. So you can never truly take trust out of a system. It's not a 1 or a 0. Things are more trustless and less trustless.
Yeah, true.
HEX to me is as close as you can get because there's no admin keys. It's locked on the blockchain.
On the fundamental side, I agree, but on the timeline side, I guess over time we will reach a more and more decentralized way, also from the ownership perspective,
Exactly. And so that's social trust, right? So you can never totally take the social trust out of the system. Just like every time the Bitcoin developers make an update to the code, or the Ethereum developers, we have to trust that enough developers have looked at it and that it's been audited, that there won't be a new vulnerability introduced. So you don't have that particular risk with Hex, but you do have the risk of, a whale might dump on your head one day. And that could be true with Bitcoin. That could be true with Ethereum, Satoshi.
Every cryptocurrency actually.
Yep. Literally every cryptocurrency there you will find in the rich list somebody with the potential to sell all of it and crash the price to near zero, not completely zero, but very close to zero overnight if they wanted to. And the reason
I
that
mean,
this
it's not necessarily necessary that it really crashes near zero, but even if it's a top 5 cryptocurrency, if there are some really bad news which are having an impact to institutional money, to big wallets, like we saw in the case of XRP with Ripper, it's also in a few days,
Yep. Negative externalities outside of your control. So if your coin is a security that has a centralized entity attached to it, it's always at risk of, the counterparty being the government, but counterparty risk in that regard. But anyway, how did I get into Hex? Let's go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I basically just followed Richard Hart, and he was the guy that was speaking truth when nothing else was making sense and everything else was crashing. And he was speaking truth before that too, just having very level-headed debates about the Bitcoin, the whole Bitcoin chain split between BCH and BTC,
Mm-hmm.
having a level-headed argument with anybody that would debate him. And
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't always the guy that thrashed people and gave them a savage beating. He only really does that when I think they deserve it, and like when they come at him first,
Yeah.
right? But I was just watching. He was debating the block size debate with some Bitcoin kind of nerdy guy, and this guy was playing video games as he was interviewing Richard. He was playing a video game, and I just remember thinking, like, how disrespectful is that? And Richard didn't even blow up on him. Richard was he laughed. He said, he's like, dude, I can't believe you're playing video games during this interview. Like, what are you doing? I mean, nowadays, maybe he would be a little more, have a show about it, right? Kind of make him feel like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
But, this was 3 years ago, and he was just like, you could tell in his face, he was like, really? This is the quality of people that I have to deal with? Like, this guy's not even paying attention.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. And what I try to explain to people that the entire crypto market is a risky thing to invest because it's the market with the highest volatility we have. But that it's the same or nearly the same amount of risk involved if you go to Bitcoin or to different coin, because even Bitcoin is volatile as well. Not as volatile as, for example, Ethereum, but if you compare the year 2020 upon those two, you have a more volatile asset with Ethereum, but in the end of the year, you have 20% more as if you just would have bought Bitcoin in the beginning of the year.
Right. Yeah. So these coins in their early days, in their low liquidity stages, have not only more volatility, but more potential for growth as well. And the
Mm-hmm.
volatility is the price you pay for the upside potential. So in Bitcoin in 2010, if you were smart enough to get in on that, I was not, but you would have had to witness Bitcoin going up to $30 and then down to $1. And then again up to 1,200, down to 100. Those are some pretty crazy moves. But the people that held through those were rewarded for it by what Bitcoin is at $40,000 now. So if you would have held through and not gotten shaken out in those giant swings, the reward you get for the cost of holding through volatility and all the mental turmoil and anguish that you experienced is incredibly outsized gains in the world's fastest depreciating asset class of all time. So the same is true in Hex right now.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing.
Exactly, and you bring up a really important point because a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we had a so-called Hexchange conference, Hexchange 2021 going on, and with this holding, what do you think, or what are your what did you take away from the conference in the sense of power, the power of staking, because as you said as well, you bought your bag of Bitcoin. I did the same on a bit later stage, but I couldn't hold on to it, not to the whole bag, like you explained as well. So maybe you have some thoughts for us from the exchange in the sense of what power it might have, the staking feature, we have in Hex.
Oh yeah. So I mean, staking is a way to save you from yourself. So you can protect yourself from your own emotions if you're staked. And what I mean by staked is the way that Hex does staking, for anybody that doesn't know, is there's a penalty system, just like the real world. If you try to pull out of your 401k early, or if you try to pull out of your CD early, or if you're in some kind of financial contract and you break the contract, you pay a penalty. So this forces you to have skin in the game, and it forces you to think about your actions. Now, you might not pay a huge penalty if you've served 90% of your stake, but if you've only served 10%, you're going to probably lose all your coins.
And
So
actually, what you said right now, it's not entirely true when it comes to Hex. If you're 99% in a really long-term stake, of course you definitely get more out as you put it in, but it's still a really painful penalty, because the Hex code will penalize the first half of your committed time. So if you say I will stake 4,000 days, or I will stake 4,001 day, and after 4,000 days, so one day too early, you say no, I don't want this anymore, emergency end stake, then everything you earned from day one till day 2,000 will be marked as the penalty.
I'm not sure about that. I thought that you would have had your whole principal.
Of course, yeah, but all the interest you earned between day one and day 2,000 in this 4,001 day staking example,
Right.
you would lose. So you lose the first half of your committed time in a long stake. So we are just talking about long stakes, longer than 180 days in total.
Yeah, you might lose a big portion of your interest earned.
Yeah,
You would
exactly.
lose.
So
Yeah.
that's why it will still hurt.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's called the truth engine for a reason, because it keeps people honest. The code keeps people honest, and it keeps people from getting shaken out when we have these giant 70-80% dips, which we always come back higher. But again, with these dips, this is what happens in early stage, low liquidity markets. That, I mean, if you look at Bitcoin in the early days, its liquidity was very small too, and that led to more drastic movements. Same thing with Ethereum. And as these
I
coins
mean,
mature,
it didn't take much time, no, to push Bitcoin from like a dollar to $30, right?
yeah, I can show you, or I can tell you right now. I've got the chart up here. It took 245 days to go from the bottom to the top the very first time. So
Mm-hmm.
less than a year.
Yeah.
And the very first full cycle from bottom to bottom only took 406 days. So just barely
Hmm.
over a year.
Uh-huh.
Um,
What,
and
what what hex day is today?
I think it's what is it, 420?
12 or 13, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, 12? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's
So hey,
12 for today. Yeah. Something like that.
so there you go. Maybe we've completed our very first big boom and bust cycle. Although with Hex, it's been really all over the place. And if you drill into the Bitcoin chart as well, there's giant wicks down in a day.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, I can share my screen if you don't mind.
Of course you can.
All right, 1 second. So this is a very historic chart of Bitcoin, but Let me just see. Are we sharing? Yep. If you look all the way on the left, you see these giant wicks here. Well, this is a weekly chart. So if you were to zoom in on this weekly chart, it would look a lot more similar to what has happened in Hex, right? So
Yeah.
you would see intraday, going up 30%, down 60%, up 400%, all these crazy moves that as you zoom out more, they seem more and more stable. So
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to look back and it's easy to say, oh, Bitcoin was such a great investment. I wish I got in early. Even if you did get in early here, you had so many opportunities to get shaken out because of the volatility. And, Hex is just part of why Hex is a better designed system is that it allows you to lock your coins, penalizing you again, like you said, for emergency end staking. But it allows you to weather the storm and to steer the ship in the right direction for the long term. And that's one
Exactly,
thing.
and you can just set a date in the future where you personally want to look at it again, And with Bitcoin, it's so tempting that you want to look at this chart, and after a year or some couple of months, you are still in the space. You are hearing here a bit and there a bit, and you are also thinking about, I want to make like more Bitcoin out of my Bitcoin, or maybe find out different ways how to earn more money. And but that way, it's way easier to be able to get shaking out, because you make wrong decisions. You make decisions out of emotions and not based on research. And yeah, that's why I also really enjoy the staking feature in Hex, because even if you set your time frame for a year, let's say, and after that year the price is still the same, you are still ending up with more Hex, so your sideways still means up for the staker class. It's also a
Yeah,
great quote. Who said it? I guess it was
that
do
might have
you
been
still
John.
remember? It was on one of the last streams from Discord Syndicate. I don't I
That
don't
might have been
remember who said it.
Johnny Chaos, or maybe was it Gary or Johnny?
Yeah, one
But
one
yeah,
of the two. Yeah, one of those two. Yeah.
I mean, in sideways markets, in Hex, sideways means up because
Hmm.
you're getting this inflation that's being paid to you because you're volunteering not to sell your coins. So right now it's 40%. That's higher than any other stable store of value in existence that I'm aware of. Um, there might be some other things out there promising you higher returns, but I can't say that they're safe and audited, and maybe they're Ponzi schemes on the back end. I don't know, but Hex has a very high interest rate right now, and that's because of the low staking percentage. Right, it's a variable
Yeah.
interest rate. If more people were to begin staking, the interest rate would get lower. But the benefit is that the price would be higher because that means more people got in. So in order for more people it's a feedback loop, right? If more people get
Hmm.
in, more people stake, the price goes higher, interest rate goes lower. But if more people get out and unstake, then the interest rate goes higher to attract more people to then come in. So there's always something in favor of the stakers there. But yeah, like you mentioned with the conference, I guess the one thing that the conference really allowed me to realize was the staying power of Hex, of how I was like, oh my God, all right. So we put this together in 1 year and we have all these panelists. I was actually blown away. I was very surprised by how many people showed up and the
Yeah.
quality of all the
Yeah.
speakers and the content and how many people watched. I mean, there was regularly over 500 viewers a day. If that was a real conference, that would be a packed auditorium full of people. Um, and not to mention the speakers, the quality was mind blowing. It was better than half of crypto YouTube out there every day. Um, People were talking about different topics, about mental health, about things that might not even be directly related to crypto, but tangentially related. And that was what got me thinking that I'm more bullish than ever because people don't do this kind of thing if they don't believe in something for the long term,
Yeah,
right? People aren't having Link conferences or Bitcoin SV conferences. No offense, I don't like to name other coins too much, but I felt like those were easy ones. So maybe there will be, or maybe there have been, but I don't think people are getting as excited and as dedicated to any other cryptocurrencies that I've ever seen in terms of the community. So that's probably the most bullish indicator, is the fact that Hex can pull something like that off.
yeah, and
Right.
I'm sure that a lot of the Hex OGs, or of the Hex influencers, or of some people into Hex who are able to reach a larger audience because of their past, they are only waiting that they can rent a room somewhere, to get the people in there, and to make conferences, to make meetups, to make get-togethers. So I guess when that is allowed again, which should be here in 12 months at least, hopefully sooner, then we should be able to spread the word even better.
Yeah, the power of seeing everybody in real life will be very good. Yeah,
because especially with onboarding of no coiners, it's way easier if you have them face to face, and if you show them how everything works. It's I'm because some no coiners are like, yeah, now you help me, and like, yeah, you see, at first I have here some videos for you, just do your own thing, watch those videos, go step by step, and just call me when you have problems with it, because then it's not like I am doing it for you. It's like you are finding out how you can be your own bank. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, can I give you the money?
Yeah, a lot. Me personally, I'm like managing 4 of my friends' money for them, and it's like, I wish I didn't have to do that, but a lot of people don't care, and they don't want to take the time to learn about private key storage and all that. So
I only do it with the family, actually.
no, that's good. That's probably smart. It's smarter than, because for me, it's like when the price crashes, I have people asking me why did it crash so much, and it's like you have to explain to them.
With the family, all long time stakers, so everybody has the stake app on his phone, with his individual ETH address, but they are not looking into that much. My brother is doing it on his own, and the others are just long term stakers, and we are staked. It's not that big of a deal. And I'm one of the younger ones in my family, so I also have nephews and nieces, I guess it's called in English.
You're right.
And for them, everybody has like his 15-year stake.
Wow, that's awesome that you got your whole family into it. Yeah. So do they have any questions, or how did you onboard them? Was it Christmas gifts or?
Yeah, Christmas gifts, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same
I
here.
mean, I onboarded my brother, by talking with him and showing him how it works, and what I was able to achieve this last year. And he did it on his own, so he has it on his own hardware wallet. And with my father and his wife, it was that we got a newborn in the family, and I was like, yeah, for the first birthday, I don't want to just give like $100 or something like that. I would like to give those $100 in form of Hex, in form of a Kryptosparbuch. And they were, yes, let's do that, And my father was, yeah, I also have something for for the little one, for his first Sparbuch. And both of them said as well, yeah, I also want to have my own one. So so the wife of my father said it, and my father was calling like 2 weeks later, yeah, for me as well, but don't tell him.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, that's
won't
awesome.
watch the English stream, so I'm fine talking about that right now.
Good, good. Yeah, wouldn't want to ruin the surprise. But that's great. I did the same thing just for my immediate family with, you know, at the time it was $100 that I staked for them, but by the time I gave them the gift, it was closer to 1,000. So they looked at me and they were like, "Really? You're giving us $1,000?" I'm like, "Well, it was $100 when I bought it, so that's just what crypto does. That's the game." And they were very surprised, and I think they're going to continue to be surprised pleasantly by the power of cryptocurrency and the power of it to appreciate in value, which is why we're all in it, right? We're all in it because of the price appreciation.
Mhm.
Maybe one day we'll spend a little bit, but the whole goal is really to save it and watch it grow and build a lifetime of wealth, not just flip it and buy a Lamborghini next month or something like that. It's to
Yeah, and it's also too risky. It's pretty hard that something like that might work out for you, because without leverage, it's not really possible to get rich in 10 days, and with leverage, you might be better than the best automated intelligence out there or something like that.
yeah, yeah, and that's another thing too. Everybody new to crypto, like myself, they all think they can be a trader because they
Yeah.
see volatility and they think, oh, if I could buy it, at $1 and sell it at $5, and I could do that, 10 times a month, I could be rich. But the reality is, no, hardly anybody does that at all. Maybe 1% of people end up winning in trading, and a lot of times those are institutions with a lot more money than you, a lot more money to manipulate the market with, and a lot more years of experience in market strategy and technical analysis and all that. So I don't recommend it to anybody to be a trader. But if you want to try, it's just a matter of time before you decide that it's not for you. That's what I think. That's what I've seen in anybody that I know. I haven't ever seen anybody make it into a professional trading level. I'd be very interested to see somebody succeed in trading, but I don't know anybody personally. So, do
I
you know anybody?
Yeah, I know one person who is really good in trading the forex market since 4 years or something like that.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, he has his own kind of strategy, and the thing is, he's also still staring like 8 hours a day on charts, and I don't want to do that. I was since couple of years I'm thinking about the system of passive income, and I'm sure that you can't that no income is really passive, so you always need to be active in the first place, but that you can over time do less and less and less and still get the income.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, with Hex, I found it more. Yeah, I just found it. It's done. It's complete. I don't need anything else besides Hex for a passive income source.
Yeah. I mean, we're very lucky that we found something like this, and it saves us from the hours and hours of having to stare at a screen. And even, I used to listen to a podcast called the Chat with Traders podcast, which
Mhm.
interviews professional traders that do it for a living, the top 1% of people that actually do. Um, a lot of them, I realized they only traded for 2 or 3 hours a day. And they would have particular times where they would trade and they would
Mhm.
make their trade, and then they would get in, get out, maybe make $100, $1,000 for the day. And that was it. So it was interesting to me that the really, really good traders didn't even spend that much time doing it. It was like they wouldn't stare at the charts for 8 hours. They would just come in, do their strategy because their strategy actually worked,
Yeah, but
and then
actually they worked out their strategy in some years, like in 5 years or something like that, and still they are prepared before going like on the screen, so they already know like where are the indexes are headed, yeah, what are the indicators saying, yeah, are we in a bullish overall market or in a bearish overall market, how does it look like in the lower time frame. So they all know that from their experience. So.
Yeah. Yeah. They've probably spent thousands of hours on strategizing and maybe not looking at charts, but maybe looking at, news sources and keeping up with all that, keeping up with broader market trends. And if you want to do that full time, go ahead. I don't think it's a part-time job. I think it's definitely a full-time job.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but
Yeah,
but
better
how?
to be a HEX staker. No, it's not really a full time job. I mean, you can make it to a full time job if you want to explain the whole world the hex code or something like
Yeah.
that. But if you don't want to, you just set up your thing once. You know, you need to get into the rabbit hole once and think about like your circumstances and your preferred time frame and your how you want to split it out, you know, and then you need to learn about like how the dynamic interest is working in hex, that longer pays better and what does it mean with longer pays better. And yes, then you set it up once and you don't need to care about the price or the chart or about short-term liquidity moves. You just be there once a week, once a month. You check your stake cap. Oh, nice, more hex. And
Yeah. It's as involved as you want to be. You could sit back, relax, let your stakes ride, make money overnight, make passive income in crypto, and life is good. Or you could do it what we're doing and dedicate, a couple hours a week or a month to spreading the word. That's what I choose to do because I want the price to go higher, right? So I want to make content. I want to do things behind the scenes that add
mhm.
to the ecosystem, that add value. And you can do that too because you're not trading. Right?
Mhm.
You've got all this
Actually,
free time.
a really good point you're bringing up there. What do you think? What is the best way to communicate with people? How to get your eyeballs to hex? And yes, a few thoughts about like what's your experience in onboarding?
Yeah, onboarding people. So again, it is easiest to onboard open-minded people, and they can be already in crypto or not in crypto. But I think certain people will not be open to new ideas right away, and you're going to find that in maximalists, or you're going to find that in just regular people that still think Bitcoin is a scam, right? So some people just take time, and so I find that it's not worth wasting too much energy trying to onboard somebody that doesn't want to change their mind. But identifying the right people to onboard is pretty easy. It's really just a numbers game. You just got to go through a whole bunch of people, and I find the best way for me to onboard people is by making YouTube videos, because a video can be watched by, if you're lucky, in the early days, maybe 5,000 or 10,000 people. So that's kind of like you just spoke with 5,000 people without having to call or knock on doors or anything like that. So this one-to-many relationship that the internet gives us is, in my opinion, the most valuable and most efficient way to onboard. So making content on the internet, either written on a blog article like Medium or spoken on YouTube. And I think when it comes to cryptocurrency, I think YouTube is the most effective platform. I think YouTube and Twitter. So for written content, Twitter; for spoken content, YouTube is where you're going to reach the most people. And then 5% of these people are going to convert, and some small percentage is going to onboard into Hex. So if you make a video with 5,000 views, maybe you get 50 or 100 people to join. And that's what I try to do. It's way
Not
better
bad.
than cold calling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And that's what you're doing too. You're doing the same thing.
Of course, yeah. We also consistency is a thing for it, that we are trying to do one German content per week, one English content per week, and you know that the community shows his face as well. I am not aware of a lot of Bitcoin OG making Bitcoin streams. So it's
Yeah.
it's just older people who are streaming about Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's I mean, how do I say this? If you're Yeah, a lot of the OGs have made so much money that in Bitcoin that
Mm,
they no longer need to give back to the community. And so I think what you have is a community that's kind of decaying over time, where the Hex community is still in its infancy. It's still on it's on the come up, basically. The Bitcoin community is not what it used to be because it got handed off to a group of people that essentially dismissed the whole idea of why crypto was invented. So if it
yeah.
was invented to get rid of middlemen, well, now a lot of these crypto people are starting to worship middlemen again. And they're saying, "Oh, Michael Saylor bought Bitcoin, yay!" Like, never mind that he's a top 1% kind of guy that owns 1% of all Bitcoin. He's whatever. But oh yay, BlockFi is offering interest. It's like BlockFi takes your private keys away from you.
Yeah.
So they're getting away from the initial ideals of why cryptocurrency was invented. And so I think when you hand off the community to just over 10 years, it starts to decay and it starts to be like everybody kind of just wants to get rich and they want to drive their own narratives, and nobody's unified in one direction. So
Hmm.
I mean that's my thoughts on it. I forgot the question.
um, yeah, like compare the Hex OGs to the Bitcoin OGs, and that a lot of people within the Hex community are sharing their faces, and that they are also like care about each other. I'm just thinking about Ski Cat, for example. He likes to be anonymous, but he has done. I mean, he changed a few lives actually last year, yeah, through his open gifting.
Hmm.
Not just one pizza guy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got such a generous community. It's different, and I wasn't there in the early days of Bitcoin, but I think it's different. I think it's a little bit more. It's nicer. Like if you actually get to know us, we all actually care about each other's future. We're not trying to stab each other in the back. And
Hmm.
I mean, some people have tried, but we we overcome it and we get through. And you know, it's really cool to be a part of. I feel very lucky to have found it. Um, but yeah, it's not really like what are the Bitcoin guys doing? They're calling everybody. They're saying have fun, staying poor to everybody, and they're just everything that's not Bitcoin. They're calling it names and they're slandering and just being really
Yeah,
really rude.
I don't know what's wrong with those people. So, for example, before the start of X, I was in a Telegram group called the Scam Army Germany, and then I was there during summer 2019 already. So, and in autumn I heard about Richard Hart and about Hex, and was uh was watching his videos, and then I went into the group and said, small group, like 50, 60 people, something like that. Guys, there is a new tradable asset coming out. It has a nice function, the finished code. You can stake it as well. I'm onto it. I like that shit. I know this founder as well. He was preventing me buying other shitcoin at the all-time high levels back in the end of 2017, and that's why from the beginning I was like, no, the dude is legit. Yeah, I don't know if the coin is good or not right now, but I will definitely put some time into it, that I find out what hex is all about.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty glad I did, because they were like, no, it's a scam, and it's in 1 year it would be worth nothing. And I still have a screenshot from a post where I say to them on the 5th of January 2020, guys,
Yeah.
just buy a bit of it. I bet with you that in 1 year it's not it's still here, and it's more worse than Ethereum or Bitcoin. I will bet 0.05 Bitcoin or a whole Ethereum emerald or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody
And then
bought, sadly.
it's weird, yeah, because everybody was so scarred by 2018 and 2017 that they lost so much money that then everything became a scam. Everything that's not Bitcoin is a scam. So, it's true like 99% of the
But you know,
time.
from those people, one of them is a Ethereum miner. So
Hmm.
they weren't like Bitcoin maximalists, not at all. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were like, okay, general scam hunters. But when they looked at hex.com, it was like all their bells were ringing like bang, scam, scam.
Yeah.
Because they weren't able to look one step further. To go on Etherscan as well and look what it's written in the code. Because I know that few people in this group were or would be able to read the code lines.
Yeah. I mean, I've browsed through it. I don't understand all of it, but I understand enough to know that there's no admin keys and there's no backdoors. There's no way for somebody to hack into it, and there's also no middleman that you're really giving your money to. I think there's a lot of misconceptions around Hex being some kind of a Ponzi scheme or a
Yeah,
pyramid scheme, but there's no middleman. So you need a middleman in a Ponzi scheme because he takes your money and then he gives it to a new investor, right? Or he takes
to
your
old
money and he
ones.
gives it to an old investor, right?
Yeah.
So in order to pay him off, and then in order to get the new guy more money, he's got to go find another new guy.
Exactly,
And
but if a new guy buys Hex, it's good for the whole ecosystem, yeah, because the price rises and decreases for everybody in the system, and not that somebody in the middle is doing like that, like
yeah,
governments are doing. They collect and
yeah,
then they give out.
yeah. And I mean, it depends on your definition of a scam, right? Because if you're talking about the price, then it's traded on an open market. Anybody can buy, anybody can sell. The only way to get it is by buying on the open market, and it's all transparent and visible on the Ethereum blockchain. And in order to buy from somebody, there has to be a seller on the other side. So it's pretty simple. It's just a free and open market. So if you think that is a Ponzi scheme, then well, so is the stock market. So is anything publicly traded, right? Because I mean, if that's your definition of scam is like, oh, it has to be sold to the greater fool. Well, that's the whole world. The whole world is people buying and selling on free markets. And if you want to say that they're just greater fools because they bought it at a higher price than you, then that's a kind of a negative outlook. But it's either like you call everything like that a Ponzi scheme or nothing, right? But that's really not what the definition should be.
Yeah. Yeah, the I don't know why the people don't get the different definitions right. And but actually, when you explain it to people, they are getting their aha moment. No? When I say, yeah, if you buy without any middleman, and the price movement you are doing is like for everybody. So if you buy,
Yeah,
the price may change for everybody, and if somebody
yeah,
else is selling, it changes again for everybody, not
yeah.
only
The price,
for some old or new guys.
yeah. The price is literally just whatever the last person was willing to buy it at. It's the fair market open price. And if the problem is with, oh, where does the interest come from? Like in BitConnect, they claimed that you give them your money, they have some magical trading bot that you can't see, but it does arbitrage or something, but you're not allowed to see it. And then it generates a guaranteed return of this much, coin to you.
Hmm.
And that thing didn't really exist. In Hex, all of the like we said earlier, the interest is only generated from inflation, which is a variable that's coded into the smart contract. And so the inflation is just minting new coins. And when you run the code and you choose to stake, you enter that pool of people that gets the staking, the inflation distributed to them.
Exactly.
So
That gets a part of the pie of the daily payout total.
yeah, and there's no middleman creating new coins, at a whim. There's no single person that's saying, "Oh, today I'm going to create 1,000 coins. Tomorrow I'm going to create 10,000 coins." No, it's just a constant rate set by the code.
So you mean crypto is the opposite of central banking, or like HEX?
Yeah, it's basically just replacing people with code because code is more
Yeah.
trustworthy than people.
Yeah,
So
code is about hard facts, and people are about soft promises.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
the lies basically, because most people end up lying because they can't meet their needs, or they can't sustain that business, right? If it was about somebody promising you, some individual person promising you interest, then yeah,
Mhm.
I would run away. I would not be here right now. But it's really just a smart contract. It's 2,000 lines of code. You can read them right now on etherscan.io. And if you don't know how to read them, get a developer to read them for you, and he'll
Exactly
explain it.
what I did, for example. So I got in the Hex Telegram channels,
Mm.
and I found out about the Hex contract in layman's terms, and found out that Kyle wrote it, and then I wrote it with him, and we had some private talks as well. He was already on the show as well. We had a great talk, and you know, you have talked to Kyle also a few times right now, so I think most of the people in the watching right now, and you as well, know that this is a pretty trustworthy source. You know.
Yeah, yeah. And for Mars in the chat, if anybody still wants to compare Hex to BitConnect, I made a video called "Why Hex is Not the Next BitConnect." So you can go to my channel, CryptoCoffee, on YouTube, and look for that video. I try to lay it all out as clearly as I can. If
Yeah,
you
what
can't,
was mentioned in the comments is a other German-speaking crypto influencer,
yeah,
and he wrote like 1 year ago a scam article about Hex,
mm,
and he made it a bit tricky because the this what he didn't do was put a date on his article. So I know that it's from January 1 year ago, you know, but
yeah,
it's not like standing on the top left or top right, not when
uh,
the this article was published.
yeah,
And so new people, when they are searching for Hex, you know, they still finding this German written article from him, and as it's not dated, I can't
yeah,
just because with all the other articles, for example, a famous article from Medium, who was claiming that Hex is a scam and a bad project and all that,
mhm,
was exactly from the beginning of January, you know. And if you
yeah,
then just write back to the people, man, just look when this article got published, and then you go on uniswap.hex.vision
yeah,
and then tell me please your next question, you know. So
yeah. I mean, it's just like, so the most simple way I can put it is that it's just a coin. It's a cryptocurrency that you can stake that makes you interest, but there's no human being paying you the interest. The interest is generated by the inflation rate, and there's no middleman, no admin. That's it. It's just a coin that pays you interest, but the contract is paying you interest, not a person. And there's no guarantees of like you're going to get this much. It's a variable rate that's set by another. It gets a little more complicated because it's set by the quantity of people staking, right? So if more
yeah,
people
the
stake,
so-called staking ratio. Yeah,
yeah, it's a variable rate that fluctuates, but it's mathematically based on the ratio, like you said, of total stakers to non-stakers.
exactly. Yeah, I will have a look. Any questions from the audience? Anything you guys are want to know? Should we talk about current price movements, crypto? What do you think?
Yeah, we could talk about that. I have a cool chart I can pull up. Let's
Of course.
do that. Yeah, I can't read the chat, but if anybody has questions, let me know. All right. So what we're looking at here is this is like we were talking about all the dips, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're staking through these dips, you wouldn't have had to mentally deal with the pain of down 80%. Oh, back up to new all-time highs. Down 72%. Oh, back up to new all-time highs. Down 66% and all-time highs. Down 85% and all-time highs. So it's literally it's hard, right? It doesn't feel good if you bought at the very top. It definitely feels bad because you're like, hey, where did all my money go? But keep in mind, on the way down, you're making more. You're making more coins on the way down, so it offsets your balance a little bit by how much you actually lost.
Yeah,
And
so
I
especially in the last dip we had, like going to the big payday, yeah, where the lowest point was nearly 87%, or like a really tough dip. There wasn't really a that much people in Hex, so especially the long term stakers, none of them really was upset or something like that. They said like, "Oh yeah, my first stake is coming out somewhere in a year or even later, so I don't care about this short term movement." And yeah, 1 month later they looked again and said, "Oh, new all time high. What's that?" you know.
yeah, and everybody has their price that they're going to buy in at, right? So some people won't buy until it's 50 cents, but because maybe in their mind it'll be more legit when it costs more. But the opportunity is when not everybody is already in. So there's more opportunity the earlier you are. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad buy at $1, but when it gets to $1, you'll be lucky if it goes to $10. Right now, it's at a penny. So if it goes to $1, that's 100x, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the
Yeah,
opportunity
because
is always.
the higher cryptocurrency goes, the more financial energy is needed to push it even higher.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And like Alan wants it to go to $7. Like that might happen one day.
Of course, of
It
course.
might be
So
4 years, might be 3 or 4 years from now. But if you buy
yeah,
now,
I think it will take longer. Actually, I think it will take 2 full cycles to get to that amount.
okay,
Yeah,
interesting. So you're thinking more like 8 more years?
something like
Maybe.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't I'm not sure like how long this cycle may hold, you know,
Yeah.
throughout the whole year. Maybe crypto will have a huge sell off when the world is opening up again, because then the people want to sell their crypto for their fiat currencies to make some nice holidays again, or I don't know, you know.
Yep.
um because right now, you know, a lot of people don't need their stimulus check because yeah, they are at home, they have maybe other income sources, or maybe they were able to just reduce their cost of life during the last year.
Yep.
uh, and what do you think, like how long can this general bull market go on? Because when
Yeah.
was the start? I would say last year. Is the COVID dip the starting point, or when was the starting point?
Let's call it. So actually, this goes back to my other chart, which I'll share. I actually
Yeah,
made a
from
video.
the Bitcoin chart, you mean? The
Yeah.
PLX. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you see my most recent YouTube video, I make a prediction, and that's this big yellow star right here. So I think the bull market will last up until October 22nd,
Okay.
2022. That's my
Mm-hmm.
prediction. It's very like Nostradamus, like very specific. It's probably going to be wrong, but I think Bitcoin will peak in October 2022. And that's because if you notice, the length of all of these cycles gets longer and longer, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
it gets longer, if the cycles are increasing at a constant rate, which is just an assumption. But if the cycles are increasing at a constant rate, and we've had 3 cycles, then we can potentially predict the 4th cycle, which will be somewhere around, where is it? Yeah, 2022. So I think we've got a whole another year for this cycle, for this market to continue.
Yeah, I'm also pretty sure that the dip we saw in Bitcoin and Ethereum, that was it. We won't see prices lower than $1,000 in Ethereum, or lower than $30,000 in Bitcoin. And maybe we get some sideways consolidation in the next days, but there is so much bullish movement. I don't see any negative articles besides the stablecoin stories.
Yeah, well, there's always going to be, every time you get a dip, there's going to be, CNBC is going to come out saying, "Oh, Bitcoin crashed super hard." But I mean, that's very short-term thinking. I think you're right. I'm very bullish. For anybody that thinks I'm just a hex guy, no, I'm very bullish on BTC and Ethereum too. Like, I think it's all going to go up.
Yeah,
I
for
think
the
it's all
whole
going to.
crypto market. So we passed 1 trillion total market cap in the last all-time high, and I'm sure we are heading towards 2 trillion overall market cap in all the cryptocurrencies together.
Yeah, yeah. And my prediction for the next Bitcoin top was only, it's a little conservative. It's only at 7,000. Hold on. 76,000. About 76,000, let's just say. So I think it's going to be about 76,000, which will be the next peak. I would be happy to be wrong, and I would be happy if it just kept going and just kept going to 100,000, 200,000. But I'm being a little conservative because I know that every time Bitcoin pumps, it takes more and more economic energy to pump it the next cycle. So
Yeah.
this is our 4th cycle. It's going to take a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of new money in order to pump it to any higher than $100,000.
That's true. Yeah, I'm also not I expect a higher Bitcoin, but also not like 10x or something like that. No, just I don't see Bitcoin at the 6 figures level. Maybe, if there is the news blow off like we saw in 2017, we see like the 90K, and then 5 days later we see 118, and this would be the blow off top or something like that. But honestly, I don't see Bitcoin at 6 figures. Yeah.
I mean, if it did,
Maybe
I would be selling.
Ethereum at 5 figures, then Bitcoin at 6 figures.
Yeah, well, I think Ethereum hasn't even reached its all-time high yet, right?
It's
So,
true. Yeah, we're like 30% under the all-time high, something like that, or 25.
Yeah. So to me, it seems obvious that Ethereum has more potential to go higher percentage-wise. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't know what I'm doing. This is not financial advice. It's all just guessing.
From none of us, that's why I have my trademark line, by the way, here, because I think I don't need to say that I'm not a financial advisor, because if I am in front of the judge and he is showing me the video, I can say, "Judge, you see, I have a pet in my stream. How can I be a financial advisor?" That's
I love that. Or maybe you could use
that's
the My
the
Little
story
Pony.
why he's watching all my streams, and that I have somebody who is watching my streams.
Yeah, he keeps you honest. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty stupid that we have to say that. Maybe in the US it's a little bit more ingrained because everybody's so happy to sue people over here. Like if somebody loses money, they'll sue you because they claimed you were telling them what to do with their money. But that's the only thing I'm afraid
of. It was him, I would stay in front of the judge. It was him.
Right. So I don't have a lion to back me up. So
yeah, you can create a fancy coffee cup,
Sure.
Who is talking about cryptos,
thank you for the banner.
Yeah, thank you for the banner.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is pretty funny because we are all talking about the price. We're all trying to predict it. And where do people get their financial advice from these days? They get it from YouTube, obviously. They
Yeah.
don't go to financial advisors anymore. Well, maybe some people still do, but I don't have a financial advisor in the real world because I don't want to pay somebody 1% just to give me information that might not even outperform the market, right?
I
Like,
mean, my best financial advisor became Richard Hart, actually.
wait, what's that?
Yeah, Richard became my financial advisor
Oh,
through his YouTube videos, you know. So
yeah, honestly, he's my financial advisor as well. Just
because
theoretically.
like I remember it was about 1 year ago, 1 year and 1 week ago, he tweeted
Yeah.
2020 will be the year where Bitcoin beats fiat currencies, Ethereum beats Bitcoin, and Hex beats Ethereum. And I was
Is that
like,
right?
I guess that might be true, you know.
Yeah. Did you he was spot on that one. Let
Yeah.
me show I want to tell you guys about a cool conspiracy theory that somebody said the other day.
Okay.
It has to do with XUSD. So, do you remember on New Year's Eve when the price pumped up to 2 pennies and then it crashed back down to 1 penny?
Yes. Yes.
So, so the reason that I think this happened is because it turns out it was actually the same person that made a big market order and pushed the price all the way up to the top. And then the same guy sold all the way back down to 1 penny on New Year's Day. And it was very shortly after the day ticked over. So I think they were doing this to paint the chart to make it seem like Hex would not have, for the year of 2021, when you're measuring the starting price for 2021, now the starting price on 2021 is going to be much higher than it would have been if it wasn't manipulated. So they manipulated the price into seeming like it was higher to start the year so that when 2021 is over, uh, it doesn't seem like Hex gained as much.
Interesting theory, because my theory
Yeah.
was that somebody was drunken on a New Year's party and entered Uniswap, you know, and then 1 0 0 0, you know.
Honestly, that's probably more accurate, because Occam's
No, but
razor,
but
right?
I looked at the transactions and it was about 1,300 something Ethereum. So I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
it was not straight a thousand that you can say. Yeah, maybe he just wanted to put 100.
Yeah. I mean, it is sometimes like the simplest answer is always true, like Occam's razor. But I mean, who knows, right? Who knows?
Yeah,
It,
but
it does
it's
seem
a
weird
nice
though.
theory. Yeah, like the chart painting, you know,
Yeah,
and
'cause, like why would it
the
be right
gains.
at New Year's Eve? It was, the moment the day ticked over, he sold back down. So that was what I thought was strange.
Yeah,
But
I haven't been looking into it that much. I wasn't aware that the same guy who bought it up to 2 cents sold it down. So I thought that some bots or different guys who were watching the chart, because it stayed about 7 8 minutes at 2 cents, something like that. And I thought like
oh yeah,
some other guys are selling it down.
yeah, I didn't know either until somebody else pointed it out to me. It was Tanto Nomini.
Okay.
He's a different streamer, but
Mhm.
smart guy.
Interesting. Pretty
Yeah.
interesting. And right now it also looks pretty good. Also, when I look at the Hex versus Ethereum chart, it's
Yeah. Let's talk about that because the Hex Ethereum chart is actually reaching a huge point of resistance right now. Um, oops.
yeah,
So
maybe I go ahead and show my Hex East chart.
sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, should I do it on the daily? Might be
Yeah,
better.
go ahead.
Because right after the big payday, I already drawn draw this green zone here, and like 1.5 hours after big payday, I already went it into the chat rooms and said, okay, the dip is over. It was hard, but we did it, and you see here it held perfectly in November, December, and right now I really thought that we will hold this upwards trend moving, this uptrend. It was like around one penny, like all this trading around the penny in the USDC chart, and yeah, a few days ago we lost it and went exactly to this green zone, and this candle right here was one of our whale supporters again.
Yeah. I mean, if you scroll back a little farther, I think that was, yeah, it touched that support level a couple other times as well.
This one, yeah,
Between, yeah, about August and September.
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty strong support, I feel. So I'll keep my eyes on it. I really, I'm hoping it bounces back. I think it'll bounce back because it's bounced back hard every time. Thank you, Banner. And, you know, I think it'll bounce back. But because if it doesn't, I don't know how low it can go.
Yeah, it looks pretty nice at this level.
Mm.
I'm I'm trying to get the Germans to see the potential of this level as well. And I don't know what you see from your experience wise, but what I see, especially in January, crypto tends to be at a lower price than throughout the year.
Hmm.
So a lot of times we saw lows in the beginning of the year.
Oh, yeah. See, you mean usually January is like the low for the year?
Yeah, not usually, but yeah, in some years it was the low for the year. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it
Maybe
could have something to do
maybe
with.
I mean, in Hex we have too less history, yeah, but last year January was the low, you know. So.
Yeah, right. I mean, technically. But you could also make the argument about seasonality. So a lot of people are they're selling in January because it's the start of the new tax year. So they want to
Exactly.
take their gains and losses right away. Um, so there might be a lot of volatility in January for that reason. But yeah, Johnny says we sound so bearish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't care. I'm pretty zen about it. Like whatever it does do. I'm always bullish on Hex long term. So I'm pretty, I know that I'm making interest either way. So if it sounds like doom and gloom, it's not meant to be. It's just that like I don't care if it goes down another 50%. Like I know it's gonna get bought back up in probably one buy, and the whole time I'll be making 40% APY. So it's just there's really nothing to worry about in Hex,
Because you're speaking about to be worried about, what are your thoughts about this short-term stakes who are getting monthly rolled over or something like that? Yeah, that's the question.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, if you go at hex.vision, you see and you see the overall 15 years timeline. It's split it up in like 4 week blocks, so it's like a monthly staking future staking chart what you see there. And I I'm looking at it since couple of months, and each and every month you see this spike because there are people who are having some of their hacks in short-term stakes. You know, like every month, every 20 days, or every 14 days, or every 60 days, something like that.
Yeah. What's
And
the question?
yeah, I mean, some people are always worried, like, look, there is like 4 point something billion principal
Yeah.
stake in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, you know what? And there's always, to a degree, there's always going to be a wall of sell pressure, because there's always going to be a group of people that are just trying to do a strategy where they stake for 1 week and then they stake for the next week, and they just keep layering it out. They're basically trying to do a ladder, but they're doing it wrong. And I think there's going to be this group of people that keeps trying to just, stake it for a week or stake it for a month, and then take their interest and then stake the rest until the next month. So it's going to always appear that there will be a wall of sell pressure that we're always coming into. And I think it's
Yeah,
going
but
to happen
what I
more
meant
and
is
more.
that this wall of sell pressure is by far not that high as you may think when you just look at Hex.vision, at how much principal is coming out in the next 4 weeks, for example.
So you're saying it's not as high as it people
Yeah,
think?
that the pressure is not as high as you might anticipate, because if you see over 2 billion and then the next month you see just 1 billion and the next month you see just 500 million, you may anticipate that exactly next month there is like the highest point of sell pressure.
Yeah, but it's always changing. So
Yeah, that's what I meant with it, that
okay.
that it is
Yeah,
always changing, because I
right.
I already saw some content where people were worried about this next 4 weeks. But just to explain it to the audience, it's
Yeah.
just the people who are staking parts of their hex, or maybe all the hex, I don't know,
Yeah.
for the short term, but that they are not wanting to sell it in the short term, that they are just short term stakers.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always going to be people like that. So I mean, I wouldn't let it scare anybody. Especially with this 1 billion hex guy, like he's not going to sell all of it. He's not going to even be able to sell all of it. And if we're learning from his past behavior, I think we were talking about this before the stream, but the 1 billion hex coming out on the
15th
March
of
March
March.
14th.
So there is one guy in Hex who prevented the whole Hex price from the so-called COVID dip, where
Right.
Bitcoin and Ethereum dipped about 50% within a week, in mid of March.
Mhm.
And when because Hex has had a stronger bondage towards the ETH price in back in March. When ETH dropped, Hex made a little drop as well. So I don't need to show it on the chart right now. But
Yeah.
immediately, some guy stepped in and bought up the dip with 10,000 Ethereum, and he bought again and again
Yeah.
and again. And this guy is having his first stake ending 15th of March. And
Mhm.
I'm not worried at all if he's going to sell or not. I guess he will restake. But what do you think will the share rate do?
Oh, I mean, that share rate's going to skyrocket. It's going to go way up. So if you want to buy and stake hex now before that time, I think that'd be a very good idea.
Do
When
you really think it will skyrocket? So like you are thinking an increase. What do you think will be the daily increase?
So maybe skyrocket was an exaggeration, right? But it's going to go up. There's going to be a big uptick. Maybe a few tens of dollars, maybe a few hundred.
Yeah,
Like,
let's point it like this way. So usually the share rate goes up between 0 and 12 hex per day.
yeah,
And the highest spike we saw since the big payday was 125 hex increase in the share rate from one day to the next day. And
yeah.
so I'm not thinking that it's that much. I'm thinking that
Well, so
maybe 250 points, but not much more.
I mean, we're talking about a billion, so or
Yeah,
one and a
but
half
we are
billion.
only talking about 10% bigger pace, better bonus. So percentage wise, it's just with the maxed out bonus and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, but this guy's got all these T shares, right? That are going to be burned, basically, and that's kind of
Yeah,
what sets
sure,
the rate.
sure.
So if there's less T shares in the whole system, I think the rates, they're going to get more scarce, and the rate of hex per T share is going to go
Yeah.
up.
But if I'm calculating it just in my brain more or less, I'm thinking that he might end with 75% overall interest onto his principal, and 75%, so 1.75x would be that the share rate or the share price right now is 1.65 or 64, that it would spike to 1.75, so to 17,500 hex per t-shirt. And
Okay.
I
I
don't
mean,
think
that's
that it will spike that huge. I don't think that. Let's see,
but
but
isn't that a huge spike relative to what normally happens? Like normally there's not much change at all.
yeah, it's
So
relative to the normal ones. Yes, you can say that it's huge, but you say like skyrocket. That
okay,
was
yeah,
a
it
bit
was an
too much
exaggeration.
for me.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I mean, this guy's got a lot of T-shirts. He got the big payday bonus as well, so he probably does have about double, or maybe a little less than double what he put in. I checked him out. I stalked him on Hex.vision earlier today, but I think I closed the page. Let me try to find it.
Yeah, I mean with Hex.vision on Hex.vision you said okay, yeah, because with Hex.live I have some troubles lately that it's displaying me it correctly. So you're entering the address at Hex.vision and you see like how much.
I mean, there's like 1.4 billion hex expiring. But I mean, like you mentioned earlier, this guy was somebody that helped buy and prevent the COVID dip from happening
Yeah,
in March. And so to me, that I didn't even realize that that was his buying point. And if he was buying there at those prices, I think he's a long term guy. So I don't really have too much fear that he's
yeah,
not
if
going
you
to be
go
able.
back and watch his transactions, you are coming back until the uh, Ethereum Genesis block.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention he's got 2030 stakes and 2028 stakes. So I mean, it could just be some kind of a, I don't know, like a, almost like how people put in fake volume and centralized exchanges. This might be like he's trying to fake people into, I don't know what the benefit would be, but he's trying to get people to not stake after him, maybe, or like right after him. Like maybe he wants people to try to front run him for some reason. I have no idea.
Yeah, me neither. And but actually, like with the comment that Silva is thinking that this guy is doing a fake out. I yeah, I don't think so. I guess maybe that may be wrong with the guy you mentioned. With the all-time high on the new year, and then the same
Yeah,
guy sold back down, because
right.
this whale is always giving support at interesting levels and staked for the long term and
Yeah.
never sold a single hex.
Yeah, I think it's going to be just a bunch of people buying afterwards because like people that really know about the behavior patterns of this guy, they're not afraid of anybody dumping. But anybody that might be new, they might not realize this. So they might think, "Oh shit, Hex is going to be screwed on March 15th." And once they realize that it's not and it's actually just kind of a non-event, it's kind of like nothing really happens, then all of a sudden I think people are going to start flooding in because they're going to feel like it's safe to start buying again. So I
Hmm.
think it's actually, I'm very, very bullish after March 15th. I think
Yeah.
up until March 15th and now, maybe we just chop around and it might be a boring 2 months, if I'm being honest, but I don't really know.
It's never boring in Hexico. There is always a Hex live stream going on what you can watch if you want to.
You're right. You're right. And there's always Hex Lion with his trusty sidekick.
Yeah, so thank you very much for coming over, CryptoCoffee. I'm sorry that Alan couldn't make it to the show today. He will be here next time around again. And yes, please give us your shout out where we can reach you or what you want to say. And yeah.
I mean, CryptoCoffee 369 on everything: Twitter, YouTube, primarily, Telegram. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Instagram. I'm on everything. Follow me, and also follow Kryptosparbuch. I gotta learn how to say that.
No, the last one was perfect actually, yeah, because the last two letters C and H in the German language is so it's Kryptosparbuch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kryptosparbuch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a really nice talk. We had some people in the audience as well, some Hexicans chilling around in the comments as well. Thanks for everybody to come over today. Have a great week. Happy hexing and all the best for you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See ya.